Today I'm with Katie Schide. Hi Katie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you, thank you. So, do you prefer that I use Katie or Kachi?
Um, it's okay since I'm in France. I can respond to either.
Because with Germain we talked about this like last time, and he said that you prefer Kachi in France.
Wow, he's really telling you all my secrets. But it's okay because in the US he's Germain, so
Ah, Germain.
yeah.
It's good too. So, Katie, can you introduce yourself in a few words, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm Katie Schide. I'm American, but I live in France, in the Maritime Alps.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, I'm from Maine in the US, and I've been in Europe for 5 years now.
5 years. Can you tell us about your childhood in Maine? What was your family environment at this time? Who was Katie at the young age?
Yeah, as a kid, I was really active,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents are also pretty active. Nothing crazy, but we're always outside and going for hikes and small walks or bike rides. So I grew up moving a lot and really enjoying just always having something to do. My parents tell me like when I was a kid, if I got bored, I would be really sad. So I would be really
Mm-hmm.
grumpy and not fun to be around. So we always had things planned, and I was part of a lot of different sports growing up. And I have
Mm-hmm.
one younger sister, so her name is Annie.
Annie.
Mm.
Okay. So you say that you made different sports. I heard that you played field hockey. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I
Mm.
played a lot of sports. I played soccer, field hockey, basketball, lacrosse, tennis, track. What else? Ultimate frisbee. Um,
Ultimate frisbee?
yeah.
What is that?
It's kind of like football, like what? It's like American soccer,
Mm-hmm.
but with a frisbee.
With two teams, and
Yeah,
you have to put the frisbee in the
exactly.
yeah, okay. Okay.
But yeah, field hockey was my main sport, I guess. I
Mhm.
was most serious about that.
At what level did you play?
I played on my college, or for
Mm.
it's university, but in the US it's called a college, not like a college in France.
Mhm.
So at my university, I played 1 year.
Okay. And what about the place of nature in your life at this time?
Like being outside.
Sport outdoors, I mean.
Yeah, so I I played field hockey for 1 year at my university, but
Mm.
after that I realized that it was a sport it's not something I knew I could do for a long time because you need two teams of at least 11 people and all the
Mhm.
gear and the field and the ball, and I saw it wasn't something I would really continue for me past being on that team. And so I lost a lot of motivation and made some other friends who were more into kayaking and hiking and climbing on the weekends. And
Mhm.
I kind of was able to incorporate more of that into my life at the time, and it made me a lot happier. So,
Mhm. Did you hike a lot or something like that? Something like that or?
yeah, when I was a kid, I grew up hiking a lot with my family,
Mhm.
especially with my dad. And in high school, we did a long backpacking trip together. Every summer, we would do 1 week of backpacking. Um, so that was something that I really enjoyed, and it was, yeah, definitely a big part of my life as a kid.
Mhm. There is a difference between France and the United States about the preservation of nature and natural reserves. Can you explain your point of view about that?
Yeah, it's a bit different. I mean, it all stems from the fact that the US, as we know it, was settled by like white Europeans who came and took over the
Mhm.
native land. So there was a lot more space when they showed up because there weren't so many people living. There was still a lot of people living in what we call the U.S. now, but much less dense. So when the white people first came to, when the Europeans first came to the US, they didn't like populate the land as densely as here in Europe. So there's
Mhm.
more opportunity to protect really big pieces of land, which here in Europe would be much harder to do because people already live everywhere. There's like nowhere where there's very few places where there's so much space. I think it's something I always forget when I go back to the US is when you end up in
Mhm.
the desert or one of these like national parks or national forests, the space is just you can't
It's
find that
huge.
in Europe.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a different
Mhm.
feeling. So in the US, it's
Mhm.
easier to preserve these huge pieces of land because there aren't already people living there. But here in Europe, you kind of have to try to protect as best you can pieces of land, but oftentimes people already sort of live there. Like for example, we live on the edge of the Parc National Mercantour. So we live just next to a national park where you can drive your car and your moto and um, it's yeah, it's an attempt to protect the land and it's kind of the best you can do here, but it's really different principle.
Mhm. I think that the encounter with the Appalachian Mountain Club was a huge tipping point of your life. Can you go back to these moments and tell us more?
Yeah, so when I was hiking with my dad as a kid, we often stayed in these refuge in the White Mountains in New Hampshire.
Mhm.
And I always was really interested in these buildings because there was always young people working there who seemed to be having a
Mhm.
lot of fun. And when I started university, I got a job working there every summer in between classes. So I worked in these refuges for 4 summers, and you really live the whole summer there. With it's really different than in France. So the it's not just one guardian and maybe a few people helping. It's really only young people. So between the ages of 19 and 25, everyone is that age. And
Mhm.
there's anywhere from 5 to 10 people working in the refuge. And you switch who has days off and who is working. Um, and we don't have the helicopters coming all the time. So we
Mhm.
carry all of the fresh food twice a week to the refuge.
Oh, that's why all started.
Yeah, so we
No?
were carrying really heavy loads and hiking
Mm.
a lot just for fun to see our friends who worked at the refuge just, I don't know, like a few hours away. So,
Mhm.
yeah, this really it's when I first really lived in the mountains, and it's something I found, I was really happy there and really just I really felt like I found, like, a place where I really fit in and could really be myself. Um, yeah, and that's really how how I started
For
to
for how long did you spend when you worked there?
so we would be in the refuge, it was 11 days of working and then 3 days, you could go home. Yeah.
I understand that you have held a geology doctorate. What are your goals with the studies, and why did you choose this domain, which I think is the same of as Germain?
Yeah, so I don't have a geology doctorate yet.
No, no, not yet. Okay.
No, I'm still working on it. But hopefully,
Mhm.
by February, I'm
We hope
hoping
so.
to defend in February. So,
Mhm.
um, and Germain actually he has a geologic engineering degree, so it's
Engineer.
actually a bit
Mhm.
different than what I'm doing.
Mhm.
But in general, it's a similar field. Um, and I found geology because in when I was taking classes in the university, I didn't really know geology was like a topic you could study. But I took one class kind of by chance, and once a week we were outside for 4 hours walking around in the woods, like mapping rocks and learning about how the landscape you see, like how it becomes how it comes to be like that. And I really enjoyed having this knowledge of like the land around me and how, yeah, the history of the land basically, and the shapes of of mountains and what we see when we're outside. So that's how I found the subject.
Okay. And what was that the reason of your meeting with Mr. Serge, as we call him?
No, I actually met him at I met Germain at a race in Italy.
Hmm.
So after I arrived, I first moved to Europe in 2016. I moved to Switzerland because I'm actually doing my PhD in Switzerland um, at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. So I moved there and went to a race in Italy where I met Germain. So yeah.
Hmm. What was the name of the race?
It was the Limone Extreme Sky Race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna talk about the trail running part. Can you remember the exact moment of your encounter with trail running?
Um,
Oh.
I don't think it was really like a moment because I think it just kind of happened naturally, like step by step. I ran a lot in when I was in the university just to socialize with friends and to like stay fit generally. But we were often running not on the roads, like on trails. But I never would have called it specifically trail running. We just went running there because it was nicer than the road. And then working in the refuges, I just got used to hiking really fast. And you kind of say, like, "Oh, I'm going to be late to meet my friend. Maybe if I jog a little bit on this trail, I'll get there faster." And then, yeah, step by step, I learned more about the sport and realized there was races and signed up for a race. So it kind of all came slowly.
Hmm. Naturally.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And when did you understand that you could be performant in the sport?
Um, I think I ran my first trail running race in 2004, no, 2015.
15?
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and it was kind of it was a pretty local race, but I won. And it was my like the longest I'd ever run in my life, and uh, I think I saw then like, okay, I mean that that was pretty good. I mean, it was a local race, but still, like, I didn't do anything particular to, like, prepare for it, and I realized, like, okay, maybe this is something I could be good at.
How much kilometers was his first race?
That race, was 28 miles, so I guess, like, 45K?
For your first race?
Yeah, my first race, yeah.
Hmm. Okay. What is the only quality that you want to improve to be more performant today?
Um, I think could improve. Always want to improve at running, like the slight uphill, like the false flat, you say in French.
Hmm.
Uh,
Le faux plat.
yeah, this is really hard for me.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that would be the one thing I would
You
love
you
to
work with
really.
you work with Germain in track on track.
Yeah, we work out with the track club in Nice sometimes. But honestly, like I'm okay. I'm okay for how much I train on the flat at running on the flat, but for this false flat, this like small grade, it's really different than running flat.
And and how do you train for that?
I guess you just practice it more.
Hmm.
But I don't like it, so it's hard.
Okay. um, what is if you have to choose one quality, the one that makes your force,
That makes like my strongest quality.
hmm your
Um,
strongest quality? Mm.
I think in general, just that I can feel like I'm competitive at mm, almost any style of racing. Like I can do a 30K, a technical 30K, and I can also do something really long like UTMB. I mean, this year wasn't so great for me at UTMB, but I still feel competitive on such a long race and also on a short race. So
Multitask runner.
yeah.
um, what is your best moment of trail running if you have to choose one?
Um, I'm not sure there's really like a single like moment.
But you have to choose.
uh, I always really like going to Madeira. I really like this race. Um, yeah, we did the Germain and I both did the 85K a few years ago, and then we
Mhm.
both did the full MIUT in 2019. And both times I really love this race. So maybe I just say that race in general. It's really nice.
I think it's a similar landscape as La Réunion. Do
Mm,
you know it?
it's better.
It's better?
Yeah.
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 Did you spend some times in La Réunion?
Yeah, we went in 2018. I was
Hmm.
supposed to do Diagonal des Fous, but I was injured, and Germain started the race, but he didn't finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the worst moment of trail running?
Mm, oh, probably anytime I'm disappointed after a race. Or maybe not even that. Maybe it's just the week before the race when you're typically in, like, a really cool place like Madeira or in Chamonix or, like, in the Dolomites and when we were at Lavaredo, and you're supposed to be resting for the race, and you're really nervous about the race, but also you can't you shouldn't really, like, go run too much, so you feel really trapped because you're in such a nice place, but you kind of have to sit on the couch and also just
You don't like rest.
no, I like rest. It's just when it because you always are doing it in this place where you don't want to be resting.
Hmm. Hmm.
And also you're like nervous about the race, so it's not a great collection
Hmm.
of feelings.
Yeah. Are you a stress person
Mm,
in general?
yeah, so like not you have to be stressed to perform. So if you don't care about the race, then there's no way you're gonna be able to push yourself if you don't care. So it's about finding a balance between
Hmm.
being relaxed, but also being excited and anxious, yeah.
Hmm. Can you tell us your moment that I call extraordinary moment? It's a special, weird, or fun moment that you'll never forget.
Yeah, I think that, so these refuges that I worked in, there was 8 of them. There are 8 of them, and we had a challenge at the end of every summer when we were working that a lot of the people working would try to hike between all 8 in less than 24 hours. Um, and when I was 19, I did this almost completely by myself. So
Hmm.
it's 70K and 5,000 meters and super technical, like just rock field, really technical, rooty trails. So I finished in almost exactly 24 hours, I think, and I had never done something like that before. So when I look back on that, I picture myself at age 19 just saying, "Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that by myself." With my, like, old hiking shoes and this backpack. And, yeah, I still am surprised that I did that.
I have a question of Serge. He wants to know what is the translation of backpack in France in French.
It's sac à dos.
Sac à dos. Well done. Can can you give us your only advice about performance in trail running?
Um, I think that a lot of people well, if we talk about trail running in terms of ultra running, I think that a lot of people could, practice hiking more. Um, I think we often overlook that so much of these long races especially are just hiking and then running downhill. Even I mean, often even the first men of the race, if it's steep, they're just hiking. So there's no need to try to run when it's super steep because unless you're doing a really short race, but yeah, often hiking is more efficient and it's something to practice, not be afraid of.
It's a cultural difference between France and United States about this point of running, hiking.
Yeah, I think it's more because in the US there's more sports in the university. There are sports in the university where there aren't in France, and people run at a really high level in university, and that's when you look at who is the elite ultra runners in the US, these are people who most of them have a traditional running background,
Hmm.
and so they come to trail running from a traditional running background. Whereas in Europe, it's more common people are coming from a sport like skimo or cycling or, I don't know, another mountain sport, climbing or mountain biking, so there's not as many people coming from this, like, pure road running cross country background, and so it's just a different I think it's just a different way to approach they arrive with a different background, so, yeah, if you arrive with a road running background, it's a little weird to be walking in the middle of a race. Um, yeah, I think it's just that difference.
Do you think that the mentalities evolve?
In the US?
Mm.
Yeah, I think more people in general are finding trail and ultra running, so the more people who show up, the wider range of backgrounds you'll find. I think it's reaching a wider audience now in the US and in Europe. I think there's also some people coming from running backgrounds in Europe now too. So, um, yeah, we'll see where it goes in the next few years.
Mhm. Can you give us your only advice about longevity in trail running?
I would say slow down and don't do too many ultras in 1 year. Yeah, I think uh, a lot of people maybe think that as a professional or an elite runner, every time we go running, we're running as fast as we can, which is not at all true. And most of the time when I go running, I'm like looking at my pace to make sure I'm not going too fast. I'm always trying to say, okay, it's an easy run. I have to make sure I keep it an easy run so that when I have a day that I want to do really fast intervals or like a hard workout, I can go hard. If you always run at this like medium speed, then you can never improve. You're just always yeah, you're kind of in this useless speed.
Mhm.
Um, and then for ultras, I think it's important to respect how long an ultra is and kind of plan ahead at the beginning of the summer or spring which races you want to do and if you have the time to recover between. And for us, for Germain and me, we don't do more than 3 ultras a year, and definitely not more than one 100-mile race. And we make sure we space them well enough so that we're not starting one race still tired from the previous race. I think that's really important.
Mhm. How long did you spend between two ultra?
Uh, I mean, it depends if you want to really race or if you just want to finish. Um, but yeah, we would try. I mean, just to recover from an ultra, I would say at least 3 weeks. So, and then if
Three
you want to
weeks.
train, you need another like maybe 4 weeks. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess maybe 2 months would be a good distance
Hmm. Okay.
minimum.
Um,
Yeah.
do you sleep well before race or an event?
No,
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 not at all.
not so well. No.
Because of what? The stress,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
excitation.
definitely like yeah, it's hard to call it stress, but yes, stress like being excited. I mean, your body knows that what's about to happen. Your brain knows, so it's kind of preparing and getting excited. So yeah, it's it's that. I don't think anyone sleeps well the night before a race.
Mhm. So, some people sleep well.
Hmm.
There is some people.
I would like to meet these
How?
people.
Sorry?
I would like to meet these people.
Mhm. Okay. Julien Chaurier, for example.
Okay, I'll have to ask him what his secret is.
How do you see the future of your practice in distance format? How do you see it?
Yeah, I would like to continue doing what I'm doing now, which is um, focusing more on ultras, but also still doing a couple shorter races every year because it's something I really enjoy, and it's uh it's something I still feel competitive at, as I said before. And
Mhm.
I know I won't always have this like speed in quotes because it's still not that fast compared to like a 5K on the road or something, but
Mm.
I still have a little bit of this speed for 30, 40K trail runs. And yeah, I think it's fun to still compete there while I can. Um, More in the future, I don't know. I'll see what I think every fall I check in with myself and see what I'm excited about and what I want to do the next year, and just continue like that and see each year what I'm excited about, because I don't want to make a plan 10 years from now that in 8 years I decide I'm not interested in anymore. I want to be able to decide as I change my feelings and as I get older. And yeah, I'm still pretty young, so I have a lot of time.
Okay. Can you explain us your last UTMB?
Uh,
Sorry.
um,
Do you want to talk about?
yeah, sure. Yeah, I was really happy to, I mean, first, really happy that the event was able to happen
Mhm.
because last year was a bit disappointing. But yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to finish. I think just having the experience on these types of races is really important for me. I know not everyone, you can still do well without experience, clearly, if you look at the results. But for me, I think it's great that I finished, even though I kind of in the middle of the race, I wasn't sure if I was motivated enough to finish. But
Mhm.
I'm really happy I did, because now I have 200-mile races as experience, both being UTMB. And I think this is, even if it wasn't the result or the time that I wanted, it's still useful to have in my like filing cabinet of racing experiences, and know like, okay, you can feel really bad and be upset and not motivated, but you can still finish something really hard. So yeah, that's a good thing to take away from the race.
And what will you change next year if you participate at UTMB next year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think maybe spending more time on more runnable trails. Um, yeah, that could be helpful. Also, maybe running more at night. I don't know if that's the thing that really I am not that I have trouble with, or
Mm.
um, yeah, maybe resting longer before the race to make sure that I'm not like don't have any fatigue at all. Um, yeah, it's something I'm still thinking about and trying to look for ways to improve for the future.
Do you have a dream of trail races or something, but a dream of trail?
I mean, in general, just I really would like to keep running for a long time. That's my number one goal. I want to be able to run when I'm like 60 or older. Like, I don't want to run so much now that I hate the sport or that I'm burnt out. And I don't
Mm.
even feel that comfortable putting goals on certain races, because in the end, it's more for me, it's just, yes, of course, I go to a race because I want to win. Like, I'm not there because I want to come in 8th or 10th or 50th. Like I want to win, and that's something I know that right now I'm really lucky that I can have that as a goal, that I'm healthy enough and that um yeah, my fitness is at that point. But I would really like to keep this sport for my whole life, or maybe not even in a competitive mode, but just be able to go for a run and be in the mountains as long as possible.
Okay. We see that you're very well included in the trail running community, especially with girls like Hilary Gilardi or Audrey Tanguy. What are the relationships with others elite girls?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us in the sport are all friends. There's only a few, especially for the women, there's only a few women running at this level, like in terms of ultra trail running or just trail running in general in the whole world. There's not that many of us. So when you meet someone who really does the same thing as you, it's easy to connect and make friendships. And yeah, of course we all when we're on the start line with a bib, the goal is to beat each other, but at the end of the race, we can still, like, have fun, and, we can train together, and it's yeah, if you can't make friends in the sport, then I don't really see what the point is to just go by yourself and then leave by yourself and never talk to anyone. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I think, doing everything with Jarmal is a great example of that. Like, we really enjoy being able to share, uh racing and training. I mean, it's not always easy in our case
Mhm.
because we're both racing at the same time, but in the end, it's way more fulfilling to have friendships on the start line than to show up and never talk to anyone.
Mhm. Do you train separately with Germain?
Sorry, do we train?
Separately together or no?
We used to train together more, but we learned that we have more fun when we decide certain days to run together. That way,
Mhm.
he can go at his speed and I can go at my speed, and nobody has to wait for anyone. I mean, I'm never waiting for him, but um, yeah, it's better like that, I think. And then when we do go do something together, then I know that he's there to like do it with me and not run the 5K ahead. So yeah, I think it's better like that. But when we have the occasion to train together, yeah, it's nice to share those days.
Can you explain us what is the concept of the one and one run to camp event and the history of its creation?
Yeah, the one is a 2-day partner adventure on the French Riviera in this
Mhm.
early spring, and it's a so there's two stages, and traditionally it's a 50K the first day and a 27K the second day. And then it's a bivouac, so it's a camping night in the middle of the two stages with dinner, beer, music, kind of a fun
Chill.
hangout. Yeah. And yeah, Jarmo and I came up with the idea a few years ago after going to Trans Rockies in the US, um, which is a similar format, but for I think it's 5 days. So it's pretty long. And we wanted to kind of bring a shorter format to Europe, kind of a cross between the Pierre Menta Ete and the American Trans Rockies. Because I think that Europe is missing a little bit of the American side of trail running, this like super
Mm,
fun side, relaxed and
mm,
fun. Sometimes it's a bit more serious than it needs to be, which is also nice when you want it, but I also miss this more relaxed side. So we tried to bring that to the event. And yeah, oh, I also didn't mention it's a partner race, so you have to be with your partner all the time.
mhm.
Um, and that helps bring more, yeah, I think a bit different atmosphere because you're really there to share the weekend. It's not just to go by yourself and run a race. It's really to yeah, share it with a friend or a family member and enjoy the weekend like that.
Mhm. Okay. Can you tell us your best memory about this event?
Well, let's see. The event has had some bad luck because it also had to be canceled in
Hmm.
2020, last year for COVID, and then this year we were still able to have the event, and at this point, it's one of our friends who's the main organizer, um, but yeah, we were happy to have it this year. It was a bit smaller than intended because of all the COVID restrictions, but we're hoping for 2000 for next year, 2022, we can go back to the original size, and have everyone on the Riviera again. But my best memory is obviously the 2019 version when I ran with Audrey, and yeah, we had a lot of fun running together.
Audrey Tanguy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really fun to run with her and have the occasion to race together and not against each other.
Hmm. It's a very technical terrain, no?
Yes, it's very technical. Don't let the fact that it's on the French Riviera make you think it's not technical. The trails are very technical. There's at least one Via Ferrata section. So yeah, it's not a super fast course. It takes a while.
How do you feel today in France?
Um, Today I feel good. And we have some blue skies here. But no, in general, I'm happy to be here. I don't think it's really like because it's the country of France. I'm happy uh, to be here with Germain and have our friends, and I like the place that I live and the people around me. So that's all you can ask for. I mean, obviously, it would be nice if my family was a bit closer, but I'm gonna go visit them in a month for a few weeks, so I still have a chance to see them. And if we didn't have all these COVID restrictions, then I would have been able to spend a lot more time with them the last 2 years. But hopefully, cross our fingers that in the future it will be easier.
Your family was there at UTMB?
No,
Not possible?
it would have been possible, but they didn't come.
Okay. Did you have any subjects that you want to talk about to close our discussion?
No, nothing that I can think
No?
of. No.
No? Okay. So very huge thank you, Katie, for your time. See you soon.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe on a race.
Not anytime soon, but maybe next year.
Okay. Have a good night and bye bye.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you.